Yes, sir. Let the MIDI mark beat breathe a little bit. Let it breathe. Let it breathe. That's the kind of beat you can wait in line to get your check for right there. All right, family, what's good? You are live inside of Uncle Willie's barbershop, rocking with grown man bars, the best hip hop show for grown ups in America, where DJ Qualls just won the dunk contest. You'll have to look that one up. While you're here, go ahead and get sideways on the like and subscribe buttons, because we need that help. I'm your man Can't Get Right, and with me as always is a man who doesn't have to shave his beard because it's afraid to grow out of line. BA, what's buzzing, cousin?
I don't. What do you say to that at this point? What do you say to that at this point?
If any of
It's
y'all
all
are,
good, family. It's all good. It's all
if,
good.
if any of y'all are wondering, he never knows what I'm going to say, and I'll be completely honest, I'm not sure either until I say it out loud. Which is why my name is the way it is. Tonight, we are going to talk about artificial intelligence in rap. Not robots, not our robot. We're talking about ghostwriters. So we're going to start a little bit about ghostwriters, about Casper in rap. Just going through a little bit of it, talking about the prominence of it, all kinds of things about ghostwriting. Then we're going to talk about artificial intelligence and its ability to do that. And we're even going to use one of these apps that I found somewhere online and maybe try to create a fake song. So let's get it going. Without any further to do, let's start with what ghostwriting is. Just for those of you who may be new to the term, ghostwriting is just when someone writes something for someone else and is usually uncredited for it. Well, actually, is always uncredited for it. That's what makes you a ghostwriter, is that you get no credit for it. You get paid for it, but you don't get credit for it. Now, as with all of our shows, I thought I knew the exact angle I was going to attack this from when we first came up with the idea, and then I started doing my research, and I'm not sure how I feel about this, and I may not be sure about how I feel about it at the end of it.
That's fair. I'm
So,
pretty stern in how I feel, but that's
wait,
fair.
you're not about to have an old school emotion on this, are you?
Absolutely not.
All right. I guess the first thing, let's talk about how prominent ghostwriting that we think ghostwriting is, because I've got some quotes here from an article from Forbes from 2015 actually. It was a pretty old article, but it had a lot of good nuggets in it. So, I mean, ghostwriters are ghostwriters. You usually
Yeah.
don't know who they are. And sometimes they are other rappers. Sometimes they're just, uh, underground. Sometimes they're just writers. Either way, when before you started thinking about any of this, how prominent did you think this was? Like
Uh,
how often did you think these big time rappers were using ghostwriters? Before
okay,
before
so
before we got into this.
let's. I am gonna have a slight old head '90s moment for a minute. Um, I think it got a lot more prominent as the years progressed. To me, I felt like we had an explosion of ghostwriting in the 2000s, like just an insane amount. And I say an insane amount because thanks to the NDA, we'll never know how much because there's a lot of people who are very on the hush, right?
Yeah, let me
We
give
will
you
never
Let
No,
me
that they used and or partook in the ghostwriting. But I think it got way more prominent as we exited the '90s and got into the 2000s. Not saying '90s artists didn't do it too. I mean, they was ghostwriting in '78.
Yeah,
You
no,
know what I'm
this
saying?
that's actually what the article says is it was less prominent in the late 80s and early 90s than more so than any other time, and I think that coincides with what we've already said about just the maturation of lyricism, and that that comes in that time frame. I think that matches with me that those MCs didn't want anybody to write for anybody else to write for them. Kind of like
No.
like Magic and Larry Bird said, like they never thought about forming a dream teams. Like I didn't want to play with them, I wanted to beat them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Loved him,
but
wanted to beat him. Yeah.
right. But so Forbes said, here's a quote from that Forbes article from 2019. It's by Natalie. It's by a lady named Natalie. I'm not gonna insult her by trying to pronounce her name. But anyway, quote, Forbes talked to several ghostwriters to find out how the secret business really works. Most declined to record. Most declined to go on record to name their clients for fear of damaging relationships and future earnings, but it's safe to say that the bulk of their names were on Forbes's Cash Kings list in
Oh
2016.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
yeah,
I'm not shocked, right? I mean, you can't be. You can't be shocked at the amount of music that gets put out. I mean, I go back to it, and I know I blame the machine for quite a bit, right? That is wrong. That is, well, I won't even say this is wrong, but I blame the machine quite a lot for things in hip hop. But when we went from moving units to streaming, when we went from 4 minute songs to 2 minute songs, when we went from three projects a year, I mean, from one project every 18 months to three projects a year, the, the maturation was the need to constantly create. And unless you are, I don't know, some sort of savant, it's very difficult to be that creative that much at that level without some help.
yeah, and I think so. Before we get back to talking about some of the names that of people that have worked together, let's talk about what you're talking about there. Like there is a line between hiring a ghostwriter and having a collaboration with somebody. Talk to me
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, talk to me about that.
So I think having a person come up with a concept and you go, all right, give me give me two 16s on this. Give me your best two 16s on this subject, right? And then I take that, I learn the pattern in which you wanted to deliver it, or the scheme in which you deliver it, then I recite it. To me, that's ghostwriting, right? If I'm in the middle of writing something and you say, hey man, this might sound better, try this, and then I try that and it sounds better, to me that's a collab. To me that's different, right? Or
What if
somebody like,
what if you
I
got a hook?
can't I can't make a hook.
I was gonna say, what if I say, hey man, I got this hook that I think it's a real dope hook, but I don't want to use it. I can't use it for whatever reason. I think it worked good for you, and you use it. That's not a ghostwriter. Like me and you
No,
just
that's
work. You
definitely,
just
that's a collab.
right,
Yeah.
right. We just did something together. Like I think I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Like if you say like if we're in the studio, like say NWA back in the day, all of them are in the studio. Somebody's writing something out, and Q goes, "Hey man, instead of saying this, what if you said this?" Like that's just working with other artists in that sense.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
if somebody says, like I saw an interview with LL, because there's a rumor that 50 Cent has written a track for LL, and LL says, in no In no uncertain terms, LL said nobody has ever written a verse for LL Cool J. He said, I want to say that clear. Nobody has ever written a
Let
verse for me.
me be clear. But
But
I wouldn't put it past that 50 may have come up with a concept or
or a
like
hook.
you said, yeah, or like a hook, right? Or even um re re reworked the song in a different manner, right? Or gave some notes that way. So like I think I think from our standpoint, if you're an old head, I think ghostwriting is very taboo for people like us. You and I both have actually penned our own rhymes, right? And have been very proud to say that, right? That we penned our own rhymes. Um, so from our era, our cloth, right? It is highly frowned upon to say that you are a spitter and somebody else wrote your rhyme. I think that's really kind of what it comes down to, right? Like, can you really call yourself one of the best spitters if you ain't write your own stuff?
Yeah. I mean, and we look back like so. I wanted to tell everybody like some of the names of the names of the songs or the artists and how far this goes back. So, Rapper's Delight, BA. We talked about this
Grandmaster Cass.
right before we went on this show. We talked about this. Grandmaster Caz reportedly uh, wrote some lyrics on Rapper's Delight and did not get
The
credit for
man
that.
left it. He didn't even change his name in the song. He said it the way it was written. Wait, and for years, people thought that was his rap name. Like, he spelt it out in. Never mind. Just come with the next one. Just come with the next one before I get upset. Just come with the next one.
Oh, you know what? That's a yeah. So let's see. We got some other ones. You will know. Well, we'll get to some of those names. Roxanne Shante, 1992. The bitch is back.
Yeah,
Ghostwriter there. Lisa Left Eye Lopez.
correct. A young Lisa Left Eye Lopez.
The same person ghost wrote for both of them that also contributed 5 choruses, 5 hooks to Rakim's 2009 The Seventh Seal.
Ooh.
Yeah, so
Ooh.
5 hooks. So I that's another one of those. I'll get to Rakim in a second. Sean Kingston. Sean Kingston has used ghostwriters.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. Let's get down to the list here. Uh,
Let's call
Kanye.
it what it is.
Yeah,
Kanye used a lot of damn ghost. Let's just call it what it is.
Kanye.
Saha the Prince should get credit for just about every big song. Kanye, because between Saha the Prince and Mad Skills, most of your favorite Kanye songs had
Yeah.
ghostwriting in.
So we'll get to the names of the ghostwriters. Let me finish. So Kanye, Drake, Cardi B, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Diddy, and Travis Scott are some of the ones named in this article as being the ones most often using ghostwriters. A lot of those make sense to me. But before we get to that, let's talk about who some of these guys are. So MF Grimm.
Mm.
If you know MF Grimm, if you ever heard of MF Grimm, he used to work with MF Doom a lot. R.I.P. He wrote a lot for Dr. Dre. Pudgy the
Yep.
Fat Bastard.
Pudgy.
Pudgy the Fat Bastard wrote most of the what I listed: the Roxanne Shante, Left Eye, the Rakim hooks. He wrote A. Marie's hook on DMX's Dog Love.
Yeah.
Smoke Dizza has written a lot for Sean Kingston. Partisan Fontaine or Party. uh, has written a lot of songs for Cardi B and Kanye West. Drake and Quentin Miller, we all know about that one. No, that one got thrown out into the open, so we don't have to talk
Mm,
about that one. But the one
boom.
that BA is making a reference to is a guy who's written for a lot of people is Saha the
Yeah,
Prince,
yeah.
and he has written for a lot of people. And I wish he would write for himself because I think he is a dope writer.
I wish he would just commit to a project for himself. That's what I want. Look, man, spend the 50 G's. Get with some of the best producers out there, and just let the world know what we know on this side for real about your skills, right? But I poke fun at a lot of things. But let's talk about Rhyme Fest, consequences, mad skills, Saha the Prince. I just named you five Kanye West projects without ever saying the word Kanye West, right? Rhyme Fest pretty much wrote all of Jesus Walks. As dope as that song is, right? Let's call it what it is, right? Consequences wrote for Kanye. Saha wrote on arguably one of the greatest Kanye projects, which was the first one, right? College Dropout, right? So I mean, I ain't mad. Little things. I also find it funny that some of your biggest artists also have ghost written for other people,
Yeah,
right? Jay
yeah,
Ghost wrote,
yeah.
Jada
So
Ghost wrote.
for that list, so I found some interesting collabs with ghostwriters and big name artists in the past. Foxy Brown, obviously, I think we know Jay Z wrote for her, but Method Man also did some writing for Foxy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, Jay Z wrote for Memphis Bleak. I think a lot of us know that by now.
And
One
if
that
you
I
don't, then you didn't pay attention to music at all.
One that was really interesting to me was Biz Markie had a ghostwriter a couple of times by the name of Big Daddy Kane.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But here's the thing. I will say pause on that in a sense that I felt more like that was a collab situation. So when Biz started making albums, he wasn't very structured with his rhymes. So BDK, the rumor is BDK helped him with structure. So he would write something, BDK would kind of rewrite it for structure.
An
So
editor.
I don't really consider that. I don't really consider that full ghostwriting, but it definitely was some help with the pen.
Now, here's another one that I found a relationship that I found really surprising that was in the Forbes article was that Will Smith has used Nas as a ghostwriter a couple of times.
And the
And
R.
and I think that is an interesting that's just an interesting collection of artists right there.
I think I mean, it's funny because if you've ever heard Will Smith talk, Will Smith patterned his rhyme style after Rakim. Like he literally said early in the days, he was trying to sound the way he delivered like Rakim, which naturally gravitates to a certain ear for what you want to say. And Nazir Jones, that seems about right.
Yeah. So any of the other ghostwriters you want to run through?
I thought that the triangle of again, we use the word allegedly here.
Right. Everything is allegedly here.
I thought the alleged triangle between Wayne, Nicki, and Drake was hilarious because they allegedly have wrote for one another. Right? Allegedly Drake wrote for Nicki and Wayne. Wayne wrote for Nicki and Drake. Nicki wrote for Drake and Wayne. Like I'm like, so
Oh,
I beg the question. So, do you think when you get, but not now, because now we'll talk about the future of ghostwriting later. But as of now, do you think, as a young artist, you trying to get on, you're hungry, right? But you ain't got no motion, you ain't got no action. So somebody say, okay, well, prove your skills. Write something for me. They write. Then the other artist is like, oh, okay, I like this. Write something else, right? Do you think that kind of, what I'm saying, paying your dues, cutting your stripes, however you want to call it? Do you think ghostwriting in that sense was something that young artists had to do a lot? And if so, it would that be less frowned upon? like, right? Like if it was an induction, indoctrination, so to speak, or a, what I'm saying, for you to get on, like, is that?
Not to me. That starts to feel like college football to me, because like you're starting to say that that person's an amateur just because they're an amateur. Because I mean, there's no age
Yeah,
limit on being able to spit. Like
no,
if you can write. I mean, Lil Wayne started at what, 15?
yeah, and he was a monster by the time he was 17.
Yeah. So I mean, there's no age limit on that. I don't think that's fair. Maybe if you need to be in the G League, like I wouldn't have a problem with that. Like if I want you writing stuff and then I'll I do my thing to it too. Maybe like you aren't ready yet. I don't think I'd have a problem with that. I don't know. I mean, I'm going back and forth about whether or not have a problem with it at all. To be honest, depending on how you play it, because I don't have a problem with Dre or Diddy doing it. I didn't have a problem with that because neither one of them they never lied about it.
No, and they were very, I won't say upfront, but both of them were considered producers who found out that there was another revenue stream if you have another credit to your name on an album.
And maybe that's part of it too, though. Maybe it's because that they were really good at something else that we were okay that you dipped your toe in the diss and you had ghostwriters for that. But I still think to me that the honesty part of it is like I think the problem that people have with Drake is that he was trying to put himself in these top five lists and these greatest ever, greatest ever lists, and you weren't writing a lot. There was a lot of stuff you weren't writing.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people like I don't know what to do with that. Like you're not writing it, so I can't put you up there with the guys that are.
Yeah, it's hard to judge. It's hard to judge your pen when all the things that collectively that your fans enjoy aren't authentically yours, right?
Yeah.
Like I mean, you mentioned Dre and you mentioned Diddy, but here's another name I'll throw out there. Where when I say embracing, when the culture embraced the fact that you didn't write your own lyrics because your persona was bigger than needing a pen, would have been easy, right? I mean, we all know that Cube wrote for Easy, Ren wrote for Easy. There was a time DOC wrote for Easy, like, and that's another ghostwriter, that nobody talks about is DOC. But um,
Mailman. That's another one. Mailman.
we, oh yeah, Mailman. Um, but the thing about Easy is Easy, and he lived on a persona, right? And that persona had a voice. It just wasn't his pen wasn't that voice, right?
All
And
right,
I
well,
think the other thing is we don't give great credit to ghostwriters like Ice Cube, like Jadakiss, who can write in somebody else's voice.
yeah, if you've never written, you don't know how hard that is. But writing for somebody else is a really hard thing. I've never done a lot of it, and I've never wanted to because it's a really hard thing to do.
Hmm.
It's a different skill set. All right, let me ask you this question on the back of that. Then, what if Tupac had ghostwriters? How would you feel about that? If we just
I
found
wouldn't
out,
care.
we found out today that Tupac had ghostwriters.
I wouldn't care because again, it goes back to your original argument that Tupac never boasted he was the greatest lyricist on the planet. You never lyrics was not what Tupac was about. Passion is what Tupac was about. He was never in those circles where he cared if he out rapped you, right?
Yeah, but what
He
if
was on
somebody
another plane.
but what if somebody else wrote Brenda's Got a Baby? Would that shade the way you feel about him?
Nah, only okay. I'll put it to you this way: if somebody else wrote "Brenda's Got a Baby," right, and let's say that was the biggest song Pac ever had,
Mm.
right, and in that regard, he he boasted, you know, everything about this song was his identifier, right? Then maybe, right?
Well,
But Brenda having a baby, even as dope as the song was, it was still on the first project. So having a writer early, you know, to me
well,
goes back to collab and structure.
what I'd say to it is, I don't know that I'd necessarily, I don't know if I know that I'd necessarily like that idea, but the thing that I would understand is, and this is going to, this, I guess this speaks to what I'm talking to, it speaks to authenticity, is he talked about it outside of the studio.
Hmm.
Like the same things he talked about on that this the same conscious nature, the same conscious mindset that it took to write Brenda's Got a Baby. He had that same conscious and that same political mindset outside of the studio. So even if he was using a using ghostwriters, I don't think it would have bothered me because I still feel
Right.
like I would still feel like who he was rapping, who he was when he was rapping. And I think that's probably how I would apply it individually to anybody that I found out was using a ghostwriter. All I ask is that personally is that you write most of your rhymes. Like
Yeah.
I understand that people are, especially when you get to the level of like Snoop Dogg, you know, for whatever you think about Snoop Dogg outside of the music, he's done 20 albums. And Snoop
Right.
and he's got revenue streams coming from all over the place where he's got to have, I'm sure he's got to have video meetings at 9 o'clock, and then you got to go meet this person, you got to have a phone call at this time. I would get you going, you know, as somebody, you going, hey man, I'm gonna pay you to write this song for me. You know, here's the idea I want to run with. I get that, and I don't know that I have a problem with that either. But
I
I think to me, it comes down to the authenticity. If I believe that you are whoever you say you are when you're rapping, then I think I'm okay with you having a ghostwriter. If I believe that you are who you say you are, that's probably why
okay.
I have a problem with Drake.
Let me come back at you. Let me
All
come
right,
back at you.
come
Right.
on, come on.
If you found out AZ had a ghostwriter for most of Do or Die, would it change how you felt?
Yes, because I think A because I love Az because he is a pure lyricist. Actually,
Yes.
two
Yes.
reasons. Two reasons. One, because he's a pure lyricist, so it would hurt to find out he wasn't. Two, he should have hired a better one later on to write better hooks.
He didn't have hooks.
He
He
was
did
not
not
a hook
have hooks.
writer. He was not a
He
hook
was
writer.
not.
He would
So,
have been a terrible boxer.
do you think it's a skill, like I said earlier? Do you think it's a skill to be able to write in somebody else's voice? Or do you think it is the caliber of writing being able to write on a lower spectrum? Here's my example, right? So Jadakiss writing for Diddy, everything Diddy said was believable for Diddy, right? No, none of the schemes were overcomplicated. None of the things that we hear Jada do in his rhymes did we hear Diddy do in those rhymes, right? Let's put it on the flip side. Jay Z and Memphis Bleak. A lot of Memphis's sounds sounded just like Jay, but it sounded like a lazy Jay. like, like I don't really give a damn today. Like,
The
what's the name of
diet
that
version.
song? I don't really care.
I
It was
like
the
Diet
Diet
Jay
Sprite
Z.
version, right? It was Mr. Pibb versus Dr. Pepper,
Hey, he
Jay-Z.
wasn't the Kirkland brand. The great value Jay-Z.
It was Shasta versus Welch's. You know what I'm saying? Uh, but I mean, again, does it take more skill to ghost write if you're an established artist versus if you're not established artist? Like, is it harder for Sci to write for Kanye as it is for Jay Z to write for Memphis?
I think
Because there's, I mean, for me, there's no comparative project from a Saha standpoint. So you don't really ever have to run into that same circle, right? But there are times that Jay Z writes for Memphis and they own the same song.
I think in Saha's case, what if it's easier for him to write for other people than it is to write for himself because he's not sure exactly what lane he wants to be in?
I think you hit that nail right on the head. Now, I'm sure our third member who's not with us today would disagree a
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
because we both know how he feels about Saha. But
Oh yeah, if
I
he's
think
watching,
that's
I'm
it.
sorry.
Yeah, no. But I think that's it though, right? I think that it's that it. I think ghostwriting is his lane. I think he gets to be all things in one when he ghostwrites because he doesn't have to color in the lines, so to speak. He doesn't have to follow a path if I'm ghostwriting for multiple people because I can go with whatever sound is hot, right? Or whatever sound is relevant. And if I'm writing for Kanye, I'm writing for multiple people anyway, because he's multiple people. So like it kind of works out that way too, and whatever he decides to do, because you never know which Kanye you're getting from project to project, day to day, whatever, whatever he owns, you know.
Everybody calm down. Everybody calm down. All right, so I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try this. I want to try to go. I found this app uh, called MakeBestMusic.com,
Okay.
and so I want to see if I can take us there and create one of these songs. Maybe
Random.
go
Hey, I
for it.
got a question. I got a question. Since we talk about ghostwriters and we talk about the industry, right? From a true hip hop head standpoint, would is it more upsetting to find out your favorite battle rapper got a ghostwriter or your favorite rapper had a ghostwriter?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think it's got to be the battle rapper.
Why? Why so? I mean, I agree, but why would you say that?
Because I feel like that is battle rap, and battle rap is more set on the lyricism than anything else. I mean, on the lyrical skill, it's on your schemes, your flips, everything. They like people already argue about how much performance should even count in the scoring.
Right.
So I don't know that it necessarily bothers me. Uh,
I mean, I agree too that finding out Lux had a battle rap. I mean, a ghostwriter, a Daylight had a ghostwriter. But I think 20 years ago I wouldn't have felt that way, right? 20 years ago I'd have been more mad if my favorite rapper had a ghostwriter because I paid $20 per CD for that. You know what I'm saying? Like I was financially invested in that joint. Like, $8.99 a month, I can get the app. I can watch 400 battles. You know what I'm saying? But like I'd have been really, really upset on another level. So all right, let's try to put something together on this little AI thing.
yeah, let me see if I can get this. The one that I got. Let me get it going. Bear with me, I'm a middle-aged man.
I know what I want the concept to be. Uh-oh, here we go. We got action. We got action. I see some movement.
No, we don't.
Get it together, sir.
It's me. It's me. I'm old.
Where's the production notes?
Where's my producer? Who got my producer?
Man, where's I no engineer? Who's running the soundboards?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
You know, change his name to can't get right to old timers.
Yeah, I can't be that old. Hold on now.
uh, you know you old when they immediately somebody you meet for the first time. All right then, big aunt. Wait a minute. Wait. How? Wait a minute. How I get to
I
that?
get that so much at the gym. All right, anyway,
Yeah.
I'm gonna skip this. We're gonna put it together, and I'll put this one. I'll put the link down in the comments because
Oh, okay. All
this
right.
this the technical difficulties are getting beyond me. But anyway, we will create one and put it down in the comments. But what do you got to wrap up on it, man?
Hey, let's talk about AI for a minute,
Yeah.
right? So, are you are you more prone to be acceptable? I mean, to accept somebody using AI to write a whole song versus a person, right? Would you prefer a sci to write versus Chat GPT or dopemusic.com or whatever the programs are now? Like, how do you feel comparatively? Do you think if it has to happen that you would much rather it not be AI, or you're okay with it being AI?
No, I don't want it to be AI. I don't want it to be AI at all. I don't want AI to have anything to do with it because the human element is the most important element of all of it to me. Um, it's just yeah, I don't know. The human element is just too big of an issue for me. I mean, the whole point is humans telling their stories with their passion and their emotion. And if we're just gonna start pulling like generic stories and generic emotion out of databases and nah, man, it's no. If Brenda's Got a Baby was written by a computer, that would hurt. Um, if some of the I mean if We That Nice or some of the best songs that I've just been listening to since we've done this show over and over again were written by a computer, it would just mean so much less to me than what it does that it comes from a human's brain, especially hip hop because of what the culture, man. Nah, I couldn't do a robot doing it.
Do you think the concept of the amount of content that social media forces us to force feed to stay relevant in hip hop and music or entertainment as a whole, but especially in hip hop, where legitimately there are 177,000 new rappers every Tuesday. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. Like, I don't I don't know how I'll say I think it's going to be hard to avoid if the market continues to expect what it expects from artists. I mean, if artists are going to be expected to put out one two projects a year to keep spins going or streams going on a regular basis, I don't know how you're not gonna go to AI. I mean, because it's asking too much from a human to ask a human. How many humans are that creative that they're putting out good albums every year?
Yeah.
Like there aren't even that many. There aren't even people in across all genres. There aren't that many artists that can do that. So I think
Yes.
if you're gonna keep like you say, man, if the machine is gonna keep forcing you to do this, then you're gonna have to start working with the machine.
Yeah, and I think it's tough because I think with followers and likes, and with that being the driving force for the capital, for the revenue side now, right? Um, I think it's easier to be lazy when you have a tool that won't just give you help. It'll literally write an entire song for you, hook, bridge, and title it if you want to, right? And I know this to be true because it's used in every other form of writing, right? Movie scripts, outlines for history papers and English papers. Like it's already the format is already in the AI to write. So it doesn't care what it writes. It just pulls for whatever references there is, right? Um, Doing research for this show, being funny, right? I had an AI write a rap for me, write a song for me, based on the movie Menace to Society, just based on that concept, right? And it wrote a three verse, two hooks, and a bridge. Crazy. So, and I did that in all 5 minutes. So, like, boom. I told it the concept. I hit enter. I grabbed something to drink. I came back. I had a song. So, it's crazy.
Now, now I would say if you're using your own database,
Right.
like if you're recording your tracks and putting your tracks into your AI database and having the AI database spit out a song that it thinks you would write based on what you've written
What
before,
you've already written. Right.
I'm I might be into that. I don't know.
I'm okay with that because again, I would look at that as no other any other tool that you collab with. I
Right.
would
Like
look at that as if you were in a room with a bunch of other artists. They heard you spit and they said, "Try this," or "Try saying it and chopping it up this way," and try to catch the beat, or
yeah.
come in on the two instead of early, or in what I'm saying. Like I would look at it that way
If you
because
put
it's
all
still yours,
if
still
you put
personal.
yeah, if you put all of Scarface's albums into one database and had a computer spit out 13 AI tracks, I actually would like to hear that.
I would be okay with that.
I don't know that I'd pay for it just yet, but I would like to
No, I'm
hear it.
not. Oh no, I'm definitely not paying for any of that, but I'm okay with it.
I
Speaking
would
of that, speaking of that, here at Grown Man Bars, the way we like to end the show is with a new game we have been toying around with called This or That. And in this episode, my man Can't Get Right will be on the clock. He will have a minute, ladies and gentlemen, to choose this or that. He will get the subject, and after the subject, he will have choices. And I just like to see where we end up, right? So if we get a minute on the clock, the subject is the dopest summertime tracks. Here we go. This or that. Summertime by Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince or Gin and Juice.
summertime.
Summertime or Nothing But a G Thing.
G thing.
G Thing or I Get Around by Tupac.
Man, I keep switching. I get around.
I Get Around or Award Tour by The Tribe.
Just I'm gonna stick with I get around just to stick with one for a second.
I Get Around or Doing It by Cool J.
I get around.
I Get Around or Regulators by Warren G.
That is unfair, sir. You cannot pose regulators to a white person. I'm staying when I get around.
I Get Around or It Was a Good Day by Cube.
I get around.
I Get Around or I Got Five on It.
I got 5 on it.
I Got Five on It or Lucchini by Camp Low.
Ooh, I got 5 on it.
I Got Five on It or Can I Get a What by Jay-Z.
Can I get a what?
Can I Get a What or Hip Hop Hooray by Naughty Nature.
Hip hop, hooray, naughty by nature.
There it is, folks. This or that. Hip Hop Hooray. Greatest summertime hit.
And that's it for us, y'all. That's ghostwriting. If you figured out where you stand all this, good luck, because I haven't figured out any of this myself.
Not at all.
We'll see where it goes in 10 years, and hopefully this show will still be on. We'll tell you about it in 10 years. Until then, keep checking in with us every week. Go ahead and smash on that like and subscribe, and we will catch
Hit
y'all
the like.
next time. Be good, y'all.